And welcome back to 843 TV at the absolutely beautiful Camellia Garden at Coastal Discovery Museum. And now we're getting to talk with Wendy Dickus. She has the honor of taking care of this beautiful property. Thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Lisa. I always say I have the best office in the museum.
You do.
So we have so many varieties here that I wanted to walk you through some of our famous southern ones through the flower forms. And one of them is Yuletide, a Christmas camellia, and it is a single flower form. There are 6 in total, and that is a single row of petals.
Okay, let's take a closer look. Maybe Joe will capture that for us.
This is a semi-double. This is the second form, and you'll see multiple rows of those single petals.
Yeah.
And then we have what we call our rose form, but it's not a rose. It is a camellia, but it looks just like a rose. And we have Fragrant Joy, that is the rose form, and it is one of the very few with fragrance too. So we're very fortunate to have some here that have fragrance. And then we have a formal double, and our very famous formal double came from one of the first camellias to be planted in South Carolina, in the United States, basically. And our founder was able to get a cutting and have this plant from that original first camellia planted. So that's a very famous one. We also have a peony form, and we have debutante. And she used to be Sarah Hastings, but Good Housekeeping said the name wasn't marketable, so she was renamed Debutante.
There you go.
And that was in the early 1900s. And our last form is the anemone, and that one is a lot of little petaloids, they call them, and stamens in the middle. And it is, our best example is Professor Charles Sargent, who was actually director of Arnold Arboretum, so they named a camellia after him. So there's our 6 flower forms to be sure to look at when you're out here.
Pretty impressive knowledge that you've got there. Obviously, you love what you're doing. Tell us what your day-to-day maintenance is here. Obviously, this is the winter season. So what does that entail for you as far as what's in season work that you have to do to maintain this property like it is?
Well, we do have a program for fertilization and disease prevention. We are always tidying up the petals, which is a little difficult this time of year with the amount of blooms we have, but for sanitation and prevent disease. And we're mulching. They do like to have mulch. We're making sure, though, that that mulch isn't too close to their trunks. So there's all kinds of little nuances we do.
Yeah.
And the very standard gardening tasks of weeding, mulching, and just really basically enjoying to be out here.
How much time do you spend out here tending to the garden on an average winter day?
On an average winter day, you could spend maybe an hour or 2. It really, everyone thinks they're a little bit frightened sometimes to grow a camellia because there's so much care to them, but there really isn't. They're really very simple, and you just have to watch a few basic facts and they'll do well for you.
So clearly it doesn't get too cold here in the south, but it can get frosty, and we've had a little chilly weather. How do they withstand up to that? What is the sort of the temperature variation that?
So they are trying to develop more cold hardy camellias, but currently we're in what we call the Camellia Belt, which goes from Maryland down the coast and then across the Gulf Coast. And they can take it. The worst problem that we have, and we did have this some last year, was if it gets really cold, the petals will turn brown and sometimes the buds will drop.
Okay.
But that's a prolonged cold. If we have one night where it gets down to freezing, they'll be okay. And you want to make sure you keep them watered during that time, and that'll help too.
Well, it's absolutely beautiful. There's so many colors, so many varieties. How do you get the word out for people to come and see this? It's just gorgeous. I know I'm going to spread the word. I'm going to bring my own girls.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. We do that. We talk with all the nurseries. We have great relationships with the local nurseries. We have programs here on propagating, on growing, on the history. So there's multiple programs people can come to, and each of those involves coming out here. We have a fun Thursday evening program where we wax the camellias like they did back in the 1800s.
Oh, neat.
And so we have a lot of great opportunities for people to get to know the camellias.
Well, it's been nice hearing your knowledge and your love for this. It's just absolutely gorgeous.
I have a passion for it.
You all stay here. We're going to be back with more 843 TV.
Thank you, Lisa.